Hello, Jen here with another layout for the Wild Whisper design team. So you can see here I'm using the Wild Whimsy collection again, and I'm using a little bit of Artist's Loft texture paste. That's just the house brand from Michaels. Yeah, and my plan originally for this layout was just to sort of do a very monochromatic. The rocks are white. I have the mermaid paper that is white, and I was going to add just some blue as the color. So here, to kind of add some interest to that texture paste, I've added some mother of pearl paste that I got at Walmart. It's really pretty. I actually love it so much. I plan to use a lot of it. But because I wanted to keep to the blue and just that white, I thought that it would be a fun way to add some interest to the layout by adding texture and shine without adding color. It turned out to be one of my favorite things about this layout. And here you can see I tried painting that mermaid. I just matched the blue as close as I could to the blue sky of my photo, but I didn't really like the solid painting, so I went ahead and did some smushing and a little bit of splattering with that color, and I really like those mermaids a lot better. So I cut out my 4 favorite ones, and those are basically all I plan to use for my embellishment. Yeah, you'll see my plans don't really go the way I thought they would, but for now, I'm still going with that. So I picked that paper that had all the really nice sayings on it. Again, for the blues, it matches the sky perfectly. So I love that it really makes that blue sky pop and look extra vibrant. My ATG doesn't like to stick to this foam. I just popped it up on some craft foam from the Dollar Tree and then stuck it in the center. So here you can see it's centered left to right, but it's just slightly lower than centered top to bottom. Does that make sense? Okay. And then, of course, some more texture paste and some more of that mother of pearl paste in the opposite corners to where I plan to have some paper layers. So yes, those 2 corners will get some paper layers eventually, but everything had to dry. And then I added some more of this mother of pearl to the tails of my mermaids, and it makes them so pretty and shimmery. And I just love that the way that the light catches this paste changes what colors are reflected in it. So sometimes it looks a little bit green, sometimes a little blue, but it even catches a little bit of purple and pink light frequencies. So it's really pretty. I absolutely adore it. I will definitely be using it again. And I just found it at Walmart. It's just a house brand that they've been carrying. They have all kinds of different pastes. So yeah, if you are trying to stay on budget and have fun mixed media stuff, you should check out your Walmart. And so here, just to add some more layers along the edge of that texture paste, I'm going to add the blue. So you can see here, I'm still going with my blue and white color scheme. The rocks really needed something to sort of pop them off of the page, because they're white and gray, and so between that and the white cardstock, they weren't really showing up as being rocks. But as soon as I put that blue on there, now you can definitely see that those are rocks on the page. And so I was just showing you the beautiful pearl of the mermaid's tails and on the paper. And so this is my general... Oh, apparently it's supper time. I don't know if you heard my boys. So this is my general layout idea that I had. I really wanted something simple. I wanted a lot of white space. Yeah, but I've discovered that me and white space don't really work all that well together. So I cut out a bunch of these mermaid tails. They're shaped to look like flowers, but they're actually mermaid tails. And I thought, okay, those are still white and black. I can use them as embellishments, but it still needed something else. So I went to bed and I thought about it. And this is now the next day. And here is the idea that I came up with. I was thinking that it needed to be enclosed. So I'm crossing my fingers and I'm hoping that I don't totally destroy my layout by doing this. But I felt like it needed some sort of enclosure. That's not the right word. The picture was floating and the white space traveled from the top all the way diagonal to the bottom, and it just kind of looked like the picture was just hanging out in this channel. And normally I would have taken a marker and just drawn a sketchy border on the white there and just left it at that. But I thought maybe I would try something a little bit different and use up some more of the paper and just really sort of get that feeling of rocks and being on the beach. So this is what I came up with. It's a little bit scary ripping so much of your paper, but in the end, I think it turned out really, really cool. I'm very happy with it. So I'm going to rip that bottom corner and this top corner. And basically, my idea was just to do the opposite of what I had done in the top right and the bottom left. So instead of these two corners having layers on top of the paper, on top of that white cardstock, these layers are going to be in behind, like they're peeking behind the white cardstock. And I love it. I really, honestly, it was a little bit fussy and you kind of have to play around a bit here, and you can see this video was getting really, really long because it just takes a long time to kind of fuss with the papers and get them right. So everything's sped up quite a bit, but taking the time and doing it was really worth it because I love the way this layout turned out in the end. Then the other thing that was kind of bothering me with this layout was that I felt like the picture was getting lost. It was almost too much blue and white. And so oftentimes to combat that feeling of something just sort of fading away, you can use complementary colors. So going back to kindergarten and learning about color theory, complementary colors that complement each other help to increase the vibrancy of each of those colors. So here that blue needed something that contrasted with it to really catch your eye and make it look even more blue and appealing. And so I picked pink, which isn't quite blue's complement, but it's close enough and it matches this collection really well. So I went with that pink cardstock, and then just to add an extra layer of interest, I also used the mint, or I guess it's not mint, it's like a teal, a dark teal cardstock as well. And that also left me with some extra color options for my quote that you can see me doing here. So in the end, I'm really glad that I let go of my monochromatic dreams and added that extra color because I think it turned out really good in the end. So here, since I was already challenging myself with a layout design I've never done before and trying some new techniques I've never done before, and some new products I've never used before, I thought I would do something else that I don't really do that often, and that is an extra long title. And in this case, since I didn't really need a title, I decided to look for a quote on Pinterest. So I've spelled that out using different alphas. I had to go into my stash and find some alphas that I could color to get the right blue. And then I have some pink and some white and some navy and some of that teal. And so my quote says, "Rocks in my path, I shall keep them all. With them, I will build my castle." And I just thought it was kind of a nice rocky quote. They're actually hard to find good quotes about rocks, if you can believe it or not. But I just liked that this was kind of a fun, whimsical one. So you can see here, because I added some color to the picture, I wanted to add a little bit of color poking through in my layers. And again, I really like how that turned out. It's not overdoing it at all. It's just little tiny peaks of that teal and pink. And then I have my little embellishment clusters with my mermaids. And they look so sweet, just sort of sitting out on their mermaid tail flowers, taking in the view. So I'm gluing all of those down with my fine line, which is filled with Scotch tacky glue, because I really want to make sure that they stick to the texture paste and that pearl, mother of pearl paste that I have down there. So you can see I'm taking a little bit of extra time and really squishing them down well. I don't want them to pop off and fall into the page protector. So I have a couple of flowers, and then I have a little mermaid sitting on each of those little clusters. And then just in the joints where the paper, those sort of paper layers where I ripped the white cardstock, I've added some flowers too, just so that it makes it look a little bit more cohesive. And then I have these pearls that I found, just sticky pearls, so I'm going to put some of those with each of my little clusters. I gave my mermaid up at the top a pearl in her hand, and then these ones just around the flowers. And then I also have these beautiful shells, little sequin shells from Spiegel Mom Scraps. So I'm going to add a couple of little clusters of those. And again, because this is a mostly monochromatic layout, I just like the texture that this gives and that extra little bit of shine. So even though the colors are all very similar, it still gives some little detail and interest to the layout. And then I have some blue ones as well. And they're not the right blue, but I am totally okay with that, because the mermaid tails with that mother of pearl over top of them, it is this blue. So they kind of match the mermaid tails. And now I'm just going to put my title down. And somewhere along the line, I lost my I in the bottom sentence. So I have to go back and find that. But I didn't forget it. I just don't know where it fell off somewhere along the line there. So I'm going to keep my title to the picture. I didn't really want to take too much attention away from the picture because, again, I feel like it just could get lost too easily. So here you can see I'm just sort of squishing everything, so a little bit up at the top and then a little bit down at the bottom. Somewhere in there is where I lost my eye, but we'll get it back. And then my last finishing touch is just one little pink sequins to go with each of my clusters of sequin shells. And I think that's just the right amount of pink to kind of make your eye travel around the layout and then bring your eye right back into that picture. I really love how this layout turned out. It was so much fun to do. You guys need to go and get the Wild Whimsy collection because it is gorgeous. I will leave the link to Wild Whisper down below, and if you have any questions, let me know. Until next time, thanks so much, guys. Happy scrapping. Bye.